This type of Yerushalmi Shekalim, it seems on the top of 3 pages in 3 different editions. In the Art Scroll edition, those the edition, Radaf Laman Aleph Amar Aleph, right at the top, Allah Chadal, Makdish Chosav. Seems that that's at the top of Yud Ches Amud Beis in the Vilna Yerushalmi, and it is at the top of Yud Beis Amud Aleph in the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi. So top 3 pages here. Halachadal. There's the Mishnah. Makdish Chosav. Somebody who consecrates his property. And I'm going to go with the Korban Eidah straight. We have a long Mishnah which takes up over 1 Amud in the Art Scroll, but we're going to go to the Korban Eidah shot through the Mishnah. Makdish Chosav b'stam hektish b'nei kabais. And by the default, hektish goes to b'nei kabais. But there were things there which are suitable for Korban Tzibur. So, Korban Eidah says, cook Torahs, which we talked about previously. So what do you do with it? You know, it's illuminating b'schar and divrei Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Akiva, it's getting better kabais, not to be kosher mizbeach. So how do we convert kosher mizbeach? So Akiva says, give it to the umnin as their payment. It says the Korban Eidah, yotzim chulin, they go out to chulin. But api shein davar achar nichnas tachtav, even though nothing is going to come in instead of it. The kasover, because Rabbi Akiva holds hekdesh mischal al malacha. Hekdesh can be redeemed on the malacha. We said yesterday that this opinion that the malacha has already been done and the money has already be owed. But the hekdesh is being mischal on the malacha. And he brings down the derivation for this. I don't know where this derivation comes from. To receive vasu ha'li mikdash. You make for me a mikdash. Shetei malacha nasis min hekdesh. That the work can be done from hekdesh. In other words, it's the work itself is can be exchanged for hekdesh, which is chiddush. The article put it that the very the process of making it, the activity of the workers should be from hekdesh. So then knows that she paid from hekdesh, and that's redeems it. And evidently, there's only achronim say this. Marafulda, Korban Eidah, Taknichati. No, it says based on Tmura Lamed Alpha and base. I guess as a Tmura has something there which is similar to that. And then they have a whole discussion of lumbus here. Okay, so that's Rabbi Kiva. Amar Ben says Ein Amida. No, it doesn't work. We have to do what we talked about previously. We separate, set aside the amount which corresponds to the payments for the workers and redeem it on money. Only on the money of the umnin, right? And then we give it to the umnin as their payment. And we buy it back from the Truma Chadasha, which is basically the procedure we learned already. It says, this is not like you said previously by Ktoris, and it's appropriate that you do make this equivalent to what we said elsewhere. Do the whole procedure we mentioned before a couple of days ago. Says this is no different than what you said by Moser Hekdesh, and here too we'll say the same thing because Hekdesh is not so Ein Amida means this is not the same parameter you gave us on Moser Hekdesh. You should give the same parameter you gave by Moser Hekdesh. It seems that most of the Farshim are would argue by Moser Hekdesh as well, because they're also giving Mechala and whatever is left over at the end of the year, Mechala and the Malacha, which is owed to the which is an outstanding debt to the Umnin. But the article does bring down Achronim who say that no, Rabbi Kiva would differentiate between that halacha and this halacha. But again, the Achronim, the Farshim on the page, do not seem to learn that way. They just seem to learn that Rabbi Kiva would argue back there as well. But as I say to him, L'shita Seinu, so to speak, that we hold that most of those you have to do this procedure by your Mechalet and the Binyan indirectly and so on and so forth. And here you have to do something similar. because but Rabbi Akiva would argue in both cases. Okay, so the well, there the binyan here we do the schar umin, the same principle. In other words, indirectly. Because Kevin Chal Malacha. Hamakdish v'nechasab. Somebody who consecrates that was one Mishnah, the Mishnah Baz, the Mishnah Zayin. Hamakdish v'nechasab. Somebody who consecrates his nechasim. It was an animal which will be brought as a korban. Zcharim the cables, males and females. The zcharim should be sold for the purpose of olos, and the money, of course, which is raised, goes to Bedek HaBayis, because these animals are given to Bedek HaBayis. When the kebos, zchar olos only male. When the kebos, the females should be sold for the purpose of shlami. The udmeim yiplu im shar nechasim Bedek HaBayis. The money goes to with the rest of the gift to the Bedek HaBayis. Of course, as we said, the money is going to Bedek HaBayis. That's Rabbi Eliezer, right? Rabbi Yeshua Mer Tzchaim Atzei Korban Ovelos. The males themselves can be, actually I should read the Korban since I've been reading consistently. May polluted Bedek HaBayis suffer stam hektish Bedek HaBayis. Fil Meidach Hasim Mizbech, even though it's to the Mizbech. Avodah Mizbech, any yotzim midei Mizbech. But on the other hand, since the suba and Mizbech, they can't be brought from Mizbech. Shamak the Shpin and the Bedek HaBayis, those, if you consecrate an animal which is without blemish, the Bedek HaBayis, any redeem el Mizbech. You can only redeem for the purpose of the Mizbech, Vadami Yiplu le Bedek HaBayis. And the money then goes to Bedek HaBayis. Okay, now Rabbi Shua Mer, Zchaim Atzei Korban Ovelos. The problem, the Zchaim themselves are sold and brought oh no, sorry. He says that the Zchaim themselves had to be brought as olos, not to sell them. The Zchaim themselves are brought as olos, and here we really have to see there's no carbonado, so we see the Pnei Moshe. At least don't see it unless it's in. He brings them. Who's the next? Yeah. Okay. No. Well, it's the next carbonado. We'll explain it. On the kavos, then the kavos will be sold for the purpose of Yerushalmi. But the money doesn't go to the Bedek HaBayis. It goes to buy olos. Just the rest goes to Bedek HaBayis. Why is that? So Korban explains. Yoin made olos because over immediate chazim zech mistom is back to the shinu. Not Rabbi Lezer. Lezer stam hekdesh. It's Bedek HaBayis. No, even animals is royal mizbech. That's when money goes to Bedek HaBayis. Yeshua stam hekdesh of an animal is mizbech, and therefore, because our media chazim zech mistom mizbech the shinu calls chaim atzmei korban olos. So the chaim themselves he brought as olos. And the kavos ain't kreva shloim, but the females can't be brought as shloim. The deity the makdish who couldn't go the person who's makdish, he consecrated them, wants it to be totally to shem hashamayim for Kodesh Baruch Hu. Therefore, and if you brought a shlamim, of course, the Kohen gets a chelik and the Bailam gets a chelik. Therefore, you have to sell them to be used as shlamim. The came to use mizbech chol alayu kedusha samizbech, because since the suba mizbech, the kedusha mizbech devolves upon them. V'yovik d'mei olos. They have to bring for the purchase price olos. Don't get the price, of course, because we said that makdish something which is royal mizbech comes kachim mizbech. You use with the proceeds from selling them to shlamim the money to buy olos, which are obviously going to be smaller, lesser animals, but they're still going to be korbanos. Okay, the Shranachos, the rest of the population, we said goes to Bedek HaBayis because it's not really mizbech. Amar Akiva said, "Roe ani as divrei Rabbi Eliezer, me divrei Rabbi Yeshua." I prefer the words of Rabbi Eliezer than the words of Rabbi Yeshua. Shaleza hishvas midaisa. Rabbi Eliezer made everything equal, right? Because it says everything goes to Bedek HaBayis. Rabbi Yeshua distinguished, and he's assuming that in the das of the Makdish there is no such distinctions drawn. Omar Papai says, "Shamati as divrei shteim." I heard both of their words. In other words, it's kind of like I can reconcile them in the following way. The Shamakdish beferush, somebody who was makdish explicitly. So what does that mean? It says Korban Eda, Hamakdish Ve'esh Amar Behema v'Nechasai Lehekdish. He said animals and property to Hekdish. Came a chief Rishon Medilon Zem Mizeh, since he made them specific and separated them. Apikin Lomar Behema L'Mizbech, yet nevertheless did not say that the animals go to Mizbech. L'Chasai Berek Habayis, and rest of Berek Habayis. Shamina, from this we derive Shadat told Shakol Yelech HaMokom Echad. Everything should go to one place, Berek Habayis. Ava Makdish Tam. Some is Makdish generically, without specifying. Behema and nechasai. Kol nechasai misakdish come the stam kol nechasai. So makdish generically was probably Armenian would say that akdish kol davar l'mashu roy. As might to consecrate whatever thing it is for whatever it's suitable. So that's one of the Mishnah says. Hamakdish v'ferish, somebody who singles out the animals explicitly and says they're hekdesh, but didn't differentiate and say that a different type of hekdesh. That's good for Rabbi Lezer. And therefore the all goes back to Makdisham, it didn't specify, so then we mad in our mind. Each thing for its suitable purpose, give Rabbi Yeshua. Hamakdish lochasav dvarim real gam something was consecrated part there was stuff which suitable gam mizbeach, and before the first part we talked about Torahs. Second part talk about animals. Now we're talking about yenus shmonim ofos, wine and oil and ofos and birds. It's interesting that the Gersa of the Korban Eda includes solosais. Yenus is showing solosais, flour. Okay, Shem Menachos and Sachim, which is suitable for Menachos and Sachim, and Ophos, that's Torim Bnei Yonah, which is suitable to be Karbanos. Rabbi Lezer Mer Yimachol Tzarchei Osamin. They're sold for the purpose of whatever. Since the money is going to be Gabbai, it's sold for the purpose of whatever they are suitable for. Okay, the V'yavim meim olos, and you use the money, however, surprise, not to bring for Berek Habayis, but for olos. Well, that seems to be definitely what he said before. So all the Farsh besides the Rambam say this is not the same person. And in fact, if you look carefully at the Mishnah, before it says Rabbi Eliezer. That was Rabbi Eliezer Menucha. This is Rabbi Elazar. As Chaim Kanievsky says, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua. And he holds that you bring it for Olos. The Rambam does hold. It's the same Rabbi Eliezer. He says that there's a specific reason why these are different, which the Pnei Moshe speaks about at length, but we're not going to get into it for our purposes today. Okay, so the Gemara begins. There's a header here. I wonder if it's in the Vilna too. It's a bit longer. The article, same header. So what's the ratio talking about? Right, we said the ratio. We already said this. Keteris. This is Keteris. That's saying which is royal carbon seaboard because we break everything out. So the first thing we talk about is Keteris, and Rabbi Yeshua. And this we've had this line already before in the Gemara a couple of times. That's when we talk about. The Umnin Rabbi Yeshua to put them Uman Mishal Beis Avtinas should tell B'schar Keteris, right? So about an Uman from Beis Avtinas, and that's why he would take for his they would take a Keteris for his payment. So behind the article will say it's not so posh, and they base it on the fortune back a couple of sugas ago where we had this discussion. Where we said that you can't be a makabel, can't use clothes, which was nispatim aydei yochid. Pitum has to take place by the tzibur for the tzibur. So therefore, it has to be talking about clothes which was underwent pitum by the tzibur by contract, and then it was left kind of like the moser, which I said before, was given to the. Was given to Beis Avtinas as the payment for their for their work, and therefore now it became chulin, and now the Beis Avtinas is b'makdishit to Berek Habayis. Okay, so that's the mahalach. The Talmud Chatin brings down from that the Bavli says no, you don't have to learn it that way. You can learn it that's about a case where it's about the samimony actors. Pitum has to be from the tzibur, by the tzibur, but here it's about the Ktoris itself, and our mission is about the Samonim before they make Ktoris, and so it's marked the Samonim to the Berek Habayis, and now they want to use it for the actual Ketores purpose. Okay, so my time to be an what's the last of an It says, Gemara Shein Hektish Mitzcham Mochel Amos. We already explained the Mishnah. Hektish only can be redeemed on money, not on Malacha. Okay, so Tamatin, we learned over there. Yesh where's the Talmud? Mishnah in Tamura, Mishnah Perek Zayin, Mishnah Beis. The Bavli Tamura, Lamed Alpha and Beis. The Yesh Kachay Berek Abayis. There are chumras by Berek Abayis, which you don't have by Kachay Mizbech. Shestam Ekdesh is Berek Abayis. And we by default we assume that one of them is that Stam Ekdesh goes to Berek Abayis. And furthermore, that Hekdesh Berek Abayis is Chal Ala Kol. Anything can become Hekdesh Berek Abayis. Even sticks and stones and animal, which is a Ba'amum. V'molim b'kedulim. And there is Me'ila in anything which grows from the Berek Abayis. So, for example, the carbonated says molim b'kedulim b'shamakdish beim Berek Abayis molim b'chelba. There's Me'ila in the milk of kosher Berek Abayis because kosher Berek Abayis is on any value which you can get from the gift Berek Abayis. Plus kosher mizbech, there's no meila in the milk or the eggs because kosher mizbech you're makdish the animal, you're not makdish the productivity of the animal. There is no anoah for a kohanim. They nothing goes kohanim at all. Supposed to kosher mizbech where by chatos the flesh goes to the kohen, right? Where and even by the ola the hide. The or goes kohanim, as the Korbanei says, "Shein kosher mizbech basar or la kohanim." Amar Rechina said to Rabbi Lezer, that was the stam hekdesh the Berek Abayis, that Mishnah in Tamura seems to go to Rabbi Lezer, right? As we learned our Mishnah, you had an animal which is suitable for the Mizbech on a Mishnah. Males and females. The males are sold for the purpose of olos. When the kavos and the females for zivchishlamim. Utmei blue shires nesachim the Berek Abayis, and the value goes with other nechasim to the Berek Abayis. So, Rabbi Yochanan, time of Rabbi Lezer, what's the pasuk? The future Lezer in Halacha. V'yishish ki yakdish es beiso kodesh l'Hashem. A person who consecrates his house sacred to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mana kayamin. What are we talking about? In the beis dira, if we're talking about a person who's consecrating his dwelling, right? That we don't need a pasuk for it because we already know the pasuk is actually the next pasuk. It says, kvaksiv ima makti shigaos beiso. Kenu kayamim. So it must be talking about generic household, not the house, but the household. Okay, so therefore, mikan stam hekdesh is the Berek Abayis. So we say that it goes the stam hekdesh is the Berek Abayis. So we're learning that this Kodesh L'Hashem in the pasuk is referring to Berek Abayis. In fact, the Gran Tak and Chantin changes to Mikan to Kodesh L'Hashem. And this is based on previous Gemara. We said that where's Kodesh Hashem? Where's something where everything goes to Kodesh Baruch Hu, as opposed to Karbanos, where some of it goes to the Kohanim. The Kohanim by Karbanos. So where's something where everything goes to Kodesh Baruch Hu? That's Berek Abayis. So you say anytime you're makdish beso, anything in your house. Anything which comes out of your house, like Yiftach, right? Anything which comes out of his house, made a carbon, including his daughter in that case over there. So anything in your house, which obviously can be makdish, which does not include human beings, but you make Kodesh L'Hashem, and that is specifically referring to Berek Abayis. Okay. So it says Kodesh Hashem Shestam Mekdeshos LeBerek Abayis. Now. The Gemara says Rabbi Zira and Rav Chuna b'Shem Rav said, Pligan The machlokas is a b'makdish in the chasab. Your makdish your property, totality, property, your bais, right? I have a makdish edra. Whatever makdish your herd of animals. So then call him a moedish shulam mizbech. Everybody agrees that his das was to be makdish it for the mizbech, not to be makdish it to the to Berek Habayis. So it's because all inclusive, chasam. That's why you go Berek Habayis according to Rabbi Lezer. But your makdish your eder, even Rabbi Lezer agrees it goes to mizbech. Right, but Rav Huna b'Shem Rav said that was Rabbi Zira Rav Huna b'Shem Rav. This is Rabbi Ba Rav Huna b'Shem Rav. No, ma pli makdish edra. Where's the machlokas when you're makdish your herd, and on that there's a machlokas when you makdish your herd, whether it goes to the goes to Berek Habayis or goes to Mizbeach, and the Lezer holds even in this case that it goes to Berek Habayis. Avo b'makdish and so it's not that way. It goes back. Avo makdish lechosav the makdish all your property. Kol amamoy yeshu Berek Habayis. Even Rabbi Yeshua agrees that goes to Berek Habayis. Okay, so now Gemara is going to discuss how that works out with our Mishnah, but how it works out as far, I should say. But that already is on Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, so we'll leave the analysis of the machlokas for tomorrow.